When Blaster Master first released in the late 80s, it was a unique game featuring a hybrid playing style, including a side-scrolling driving and platforming section and an agile car, as well as an overhead walking and exploring section as the boy Jason. Numerous spin-offs and sequels were made, some which were not so well received, and others that stayed true to the Blaster Master gameplay and lore. So today we're going to take a look at those great games in the Blaster Master series, on this list of the top 5 Blaster Master games. Number 5. After the success of the original Blaster Master game on Nintendo, we wouldn't see a true sequel until Blaster Master 2 on the Sega Genesis in 1993. This game was North American exclusive and only found on the Genesis. The plot takes place 4 years after the original NES game and involves the same characters such as Jason and the car Sophia. Once again, the mutant beings are back trying to invade Earth, and Jason must put a stop to it. The game uses the same side-scrolling stages in the car again, but also tried to add some new features. The only walking sections with Jason are now simply to fight a stage boss. There is no more exploring as Jason. You basically just walk into the door, kill the boss, walk back out, and get into the car. Jason does get his own upgrades this time, such as a jetpack among other things. So that was an innovative evolution to this series. The second new thing they attempted was the overhead tank section of Sophia. After every stage, you have to do these tank sections to progress to the next stage. These are, well, not so good to be polite. So Blaster Master 2 is on this list though because this game at least gave a solid attempt at a sequel to an amazing game. It's worth a play through at least one time if you're a Blaster Master fan. Number 4. The Nintendo Wii is one of the best-selling consoles of all time and brought back a lot of classic Nintendo and other retro games. One of those, of course, would be Blaster Master Overdrive, released digital only in 2010. This is not the first, but one of the many remakes, or reimaginings, or ports, or whatever you want to call it, to the original Blaster Master NES game. As far as those reimaginings go, Overdrive is one of the best of them. This game overhauled most of the content, and it can be played on its own without feeling too much like the original game. Even the main character was changed from Jason to this guy Alex. But of course, Sophia is still in the game. Naturally, the graphics and sound were improved, and the difficulty was brought down a notch. Many player-friendly mechanics were also added, such as a map and finally save points. The Jason sections were also overhauled too, with Jason now having 3 different weapons at all time. You still have to collect the power-ups though to increase the levels of the guns, up to a max of 5. Same as before, if you get hit, you lose 1 level in gun power. There are also a few new upgrades for Sophia, including this grapple hook thing. Once again, it's 8 levels, but with almost all new bosses, or at least heavily modified bosses from the original. It's a great game for a cheap price, but unfortunately the Wii Digital Shop is now closed and you can no longer legally purchase this game from the online shop. But if you can find it somewhere else, I recommend it. Number 3. Speaking of remakes and reimaginings, NC Creates had their own attempt at it with Blaster Master Zero. After 7 years of Blaster Master silence, with the last release being the aforementioned Blaster Master Overdrive, in 2017 Blaster Master Zero was released. This game came out on Nintendo Switch and Steam, and also several years later in 2020 on the PlayStation 4. As I said, this was another reimagining of the original NES title. A nice feature, which seems to be popular around this time, was the use of the retro-looking sprite graphics. The game has a Super Nintendo-ish style 16-bit sprite feel to it. It works very well, and Inti Creates did a great job on it. The game is once again 8 levels long with similar bosses and stages from the original Blaster Master game, but this time Inti Creates reworked the level design and overhauled a lot of the boss fights. There are also optional side bosses in this game, which feature a bunch of newly designed bosses. The gameplay, controls, and music in this game are incredible. There are even multiple endings. If you collect every item in the game, you get a secret bonus Stage 9. In this level, you'll fight the true final boss and see the true ending of the game. Highly recommend this game if you haven't tried it yet. It's a very affordable game and will still give you about 8 to 10 hours of play if you want to see the true ending. Number 2. With the original Blaster Master Zero doing so well in sales, Inti Creates went ahead and released a sequel to the game called Blaster Master Zero 2. This game was released 2 years later after the first game, on March of 2019. This game no longer had to follow so closely to the NES Blaster Master, so they were free to open up the story and try new things. The game takes place a few months after the first Blaster Master Zero game, and Eve is infected as they are trying to get back to her home planet to cure her. The game really changed up the Blaster Master formula, by rather than backtracking through the same levels trying to progress to the end, this game you are flying to multiple planets and side planets. The game features all new bosses, with a few nods to the original. The gameplay is once again the hybrid style of car platforming and overhead walking that we're used to. You meet some new friends during the game, who this time will help you out later on if you do some chores for them now. Once again, Inti Creates developed a wonderful game in the Blaster Master series. And also, once again, there's a good and bad ending, including another bonus final stage. This game's a bit longer than the original Blaster Master Zero game, as there are many planets to visit, as well as optional side planets called Planetoids. So if you want a 10 to 12 hour unique Blaster Master experience, this game might be for you. Number 1. Finally, to top off the list. And what game is it? Well, I'm sure you guessed it by now. It's the original. It's the OG that started the series. Blaster Master on a Nintendo Entertainment System. Released in 1988 by Sunsoft, this gem brought something new to the table. The game featured a dual play mechanic with platforming in the car and then walking as the human for exploration and boss fights. This is also an early example of the now coined Metroidvania style gameplay, which involves backtracking and exploring and progressing to new areas once you get a new weapon or item that allows you to do so. The music was classic memorable NES style music, getting you pumped up for the game. You're playing the game as Jason Frudnick, who went to get his frog and jumped down a hole. Jason then subsequently found the car named Sophia and was off to save the world. The cutscenes here were made completely for North America audience and were not found in Japanese version. A completely different story was given with the instruction booklet. The game has 8 levels, each with a huge and interesting stage boss. Good luck making it to the end here though, as this game is pretty challenging and has no save features like later games in the series do. But if you missed out on this gem from the 80s, now's your chance to check it out. Thanks for tuning in to this Blaster Master Countdown. If you want to see the game from the number 1 spot, click up here in the top right. If you want to see all the games in the series, click down here in the bottom right for the playlist. Thanks for watching.